Hello, my name is Maleka Khan and I work for Chiltern Learning Trust as a Maths SLE. I've been teaching for 12 years in 4 different schools and have had a variety of different roles, including Head of Maths, Director of Learning for Maths and Business, and Assistant Principal. In today's webinar, I'd like to share with you some of the resources that I've been using and have found very useful. It is really important to engage students from the moment they enter our classrooms. A great starter can make a massive difference to the rest of the lesson. I try to use a variety of tasks in my lessons to keep students engaged. I've used multiple choice questions many times for classes, especially the foundation groups. You can use this to check prior knowledge and understanding. It's quick to do and you get instant feedback from students. So I would display the questions up on the board and give students 5 to 10 seconds to come up and decide which is the correct answer. And then I would ask the class to put the cards up all in one go. I use ABCD cards to take responses. You can use mini whiteboards. However, it takes slightly longer to give out mini whiteboards and make sure students have pens that actually work. There are lots of multiple choice questions already created and shared on the web. This presentation contains 30 numbered topics and has 10 questions under each topic. I found this on TES and it's called 30 Number Starters, Multiple Choice Quizzes. Always, Sometimes, Never cards are brilliant for discussion and for addressing misconceptions. You can do this as a group activity or even display it up on the board and get students to decide which column they would put each statement under and why. If you do this as a group activity, you would need to cut out the cards so that students can organise into groups. But given the current circumstances, you might want to display up on the board and get students to decide which column they would put it under and why. This one was taken from NCETM, but there are lots out there that you could search for as well. You can create your own statements if you have the time, or even get students to come up with statements that are always true, or sometimes true, or never true. Especially if you have a higher set, it works really well. You may have come across this website before. It's called Math Starter of the Day. It has lots of starters and resources that are free to use. I've taken quite a lot of my starters from this website as well. Here's one that I've used many times. If you're moving around rooms or having to cover for colleagues, it's sometimes hard to think of questions on the spot. I've used this one because it's easy to remember. I would just draw the clouds up on the board and give students 5 to 10 minutes to come up with answers. It gives me that time to sort myself out and get the lesson started. You can get students to come up and share answers. That way they're contributing and helps build their confidence as well. Here's another taken from Math Start of the Day. They also have lots of puzzles and creative tasks. It's definitely worth having a look at. Tick or trash questions are also great. I've taken this from TES. Resources like this are great for individual or grouped activities. You can use it as a starter to recap previous learning, or as a main to check understanding of what you taught in that lesson, or even as a plenary. Students don't realise how much work they're getting done in these kind of activities. They're actually having to work out the answer to each question. In this case, they're working out the area and perimeter of each shape. And they get a lot done in card activities than actually doing work from the textbook and worksheets. Treasure hunts are brilliant if you want to get your students moving around the room and doing maths at the same time. However, given the current situation, you can get them to do this from the seats as well as a loop card activity. What students do is work out the answer. So in this case, they would work out 10% of 17. And in a different card at the top, it would say £1.70, and then they would work out the answer to that question and carry on until they've worked out all the answers and created a loop. There's lots out there on TES, but I really like the ones created by Mathsbox. This one is taken from Mathsbox. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Mathsbox. You might have heard of this. I've been told many times for the past 5-6 years that it's got lots of resources, brilliant to use, but actually I haven't had the chance to try it until last year when it was purchased for my TSST participants. So I had to have a look at it before I shared it with them, and I was quite impressed with the amount of resources they've got on that site. So this isn't free. It's £66 for a year, but your whole department could use it. And personally, I think it's worth spending that money. It's got lots of resources. They've got skills section, and under that section, you could see it's been separated into each key stage. There are lots of resources under each key stage as well. Here's one that I use quite a lot, again under skills checks. So this skills check has 10 questions, and it was created for the GCSE foundation groups to use. You can use this as a starter or a recap lesson if you wanted. If you do it as a starter, it can take up to 20 minutes for students to answer all the questions, especially if you have a weaker class. At the beginning, when I started this off, I did use it as a starter, and I realised how long it took. So it took almost half of my lesson, about 30 minutes. But I would also spend time to go through each question, because I found my students had forgotten some of these topics because they were taught a lot earlier in the year. So yeah, be prepared to go through each question and discuss answers. If you don't do that, there's no point putting these questions up because they won't get much out of it. So you do need to give yourself enough time to go through questions and make sure students understand it. The first couple of lessons take slightly longer. After that, they get used to this and they just get on with it, and you can just say it's a 10-minute starter task, and then just share the answers. So good thing is they do come with answers for all of these, so you don't need to obviously sit around working out the answers for every single question. Topic resources section also has lots of resources. It's got like bingo games, quizzes, exit tickets. It's got differentiated questions and so much more. There are lots of resources for all year groups from Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 5. And I think, like I said, I think it's definitely worth investing that £66 in. Do have a look and try it out for yourselves. Moving away from Mathsbox, you may have seen Tarsia cards or have heard of them. These are basically jigsaw puzzles that students have to solve. They match questions to answers and create a bigger shape, which could be a triangle or a hexagon or another shape. Mr. Barton Maths has lots of these as well as TES. You will need to print them in advance and get them cut up. I often use these as a main part of my lesson as it takes up a lot longer than a starter task. It's great for group work, but you can get them to do it individually as well. However, if you get them to do it individually, it might take slightly longer, and sometimes students want to spend a bit longer because they want to complete the task, so be prepared for that as well. Allow enough time if you want them to complete the whole task. But you might also want to think of extension tasks, because you might have individuals or groups who will have completed this much earlier than the other students in the class, so it's worth having something ready for those students. Spotting mistakes is another great way of checking understanding and addressing misconception. It's great for class discussions and for student engagement as well. There are resources like this on TS if you search for Spotting Maths Errors worksheets. I've used these for starters as well as for plenaries. In the past, I had also written up my own calculations on solving equations with errors in them, and I would ask students to check and mark. Again, it's just another way. They don't realise they're actually answering that question. They're actually going through each part in detail to figure out if there's any errors. So they get a lot more done in these kind of tasks than, again, as I mentioned, doing questions in their book from textbook or from worksheets. So again, you might want to try some of these questions. I've used Mathswatch for many years now, and I found it very useful, particularly for my GCSE classes. If you're not trained as a maths teacher and having to teach maths, you will find Mathswatch useful. You will, however, need to pay for this as well. So you need to look into it and see how much you need to pay, because it varies, I think, on how many students you get signed up and so on. You can watch the videos to refresh your memories, or even learn how to teach a new topic. I've used video clips in my lessons as well to demonstrate things like loci. It's hard to explain that up on the board. Well, I found it hard to explain up on the board. And things like transformation, it's really difficult to show them how to rotate a shape or how to use tracing paper. So I've used Mathswatch videos to show them how to do those kind of things, and it's worked out really well for my lessons. And it's also good practice for students to see you using it in the lesson and demonstrating it, because if your school does purchase this, it gives them obviously encourages them to use it at home when they get stuck on a particular question. Maths Genie has lots of exam questions and are arranged by topic, so grade 1 to grade 9. Almost all worksheets and booklets come with worked solutions. I've used this many times in my GCSE classes and for intervention sessions as well. This is especially useful for like revision, but you can use it in your main part of the lesson if you wanted as well. You can also use this for Key Stage 3. There are lots of other resources, but I particularly like these worksheets here under each grade, as I found them, it's good exam practice. Miss B resources is also worth exploring. It has lots of free worksheets, revision maths, skills check exercises, and much more. So I've used these many times. These are called revision clocks, and they work really well if you've got a GCSE class and you want to do some revision or before a end of term or even mock exams. I let students start on any question, and that way they could decide what they feel more comfortable with. And after like 10-15 minutes, I would stop them and go through answers and let them give answers and come up and share answers. And it works really well for me to work through them in that way, than just to let them carry on working through this for so long by themselves. You can take up a whole lesson doing one of these worksheets as well. So, but if you have a really good class, you may want to have other resources ready, because they might get this done a lot quicker than other students. There are lots of free worksheets like this on Miss B resources. You can see they've put a lot of thought and a lot of planning has gone into creating these worksheets. You can see the skills 1, 2, and 3, and they also have the stretch questions, and it's differentiated quite well for a lesson. Here's another one. So this one is on indices, and you can see on the side here they've put down all the different rules that students need to remember. You can set this as a piece of homework if you wanted, or use it as a main part of your lesson. It works either way. There are also lots of little challenges under the skills review section. These can be used as a start activity or as a mini test. It's entirely up to you how you use it, but there are lots of these little challenges in Miss B resources. They also come with answers. This website here, worksheetmat.com, you can create your own worksheets. I particularly like this for my Key Stage 3 classes, especially like topics like fractions when you want them to have lots of practice. So I would go and create my own worksheet. It gives you different options that you could tick to see what suits your class, and it also generates a answer sheet for you, so you can display the questions up on the board and then project the answers for students to mark. You could also print the worksheets out and set it as a homework task if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you, but there are lots of topics in this website that you can create worksheets for. Another one, Pixi Maths, is also great for resources and worksheets. This works from all the way from Key Stage 2 to Key Stage 5. It contains ready-made PowerPoint presentations for you to just use it with your classes. However, I would advise you to have a look and see if it's suitable for your class and their ability before just taking something off from there and then just using. Just have a look at it beforehand. But it is free to use, and they have got tons of resources in this site as well. I particularly like the aiming for grade 3, grade 5, grade 7, and grade 9 booklets. They work really well for intervention after school or during the day, but also as like a revision task in your lesson as well. You could even use them for homework if you wanted to, but these booklets are really, really useful. They've also created another similar booklet with solutions, which is identical, so that it makes it easier for students to find the answers and mark the work themselves. Finally, I'd just like to let you know about the TSST programs that we're running this year for maths and physics. We've been running these for the last 3 years, and it's been really, really great because I've been involved last year as well. We've had lots of people interested in taking part and found it really useful. The course is free, and schools get paid to release you from the school to attend these courses as well. They started slightly earlier this year. It's from December to March. There are 4 face-to-face sessions. If the government advice changes, then the sessions might be virtual, but at the moment we're planning to have them face-to-face because you get a lot more out of face-to-face sessions. So you get obviously lots of resources shared with you, get the chance to interact with colleagues and ask lots of questions. So these are basically for teachers who are non-specialists. So for example, you may be trained as a PE teacher but having to teach maths, or you may be trained as a chemistry or biology teacher and having to teach physics. So it's for these teachers who are not specialists in maths or physics. The maths sessions will be delivered at Chuni High School for boys, and the physics sessions will be delivered at Cedars Upper School by a physics specialist. If you are interested, there is a email address on there. Please send us the email and we'll get back to you and let you know. There are limited spaces, so I would advise you, if you are interested or have a colleague that's interested, to get in touch as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this webinar useful.